All right, everybody, welcome into our special Ukraine versus Russia. The war coverage continues. This is night 5, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. This is night 5. We've been doing this every night, popping in. In addition to the daily streams that we do here. Hi, I should introduce myself. Well, like you people don't know. My name is Pugs Moran. If you're new around here, although most of y'all are regulars, I appreciate you. I love that you come by here each and every day. You know that we do 2 streams every day. We do the noon stream. We call it High Noon. That comes on at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. It goes for a couple of hours. It's all the day's events. It's headlines, trending topics, hot topics, pop culture. The only thing that we don't do is we don't do any politics. We don't do any like political stuff. I'm not going to tell you that guy's the devil. We're not doing anything divisive like that. That's not what that's about. What we're trying to do with the High Noon show is create a talk radio show the way it should be done, an inclusive show, a show where everybody has a right to an opinion, but if it's bullshit, shut the hell up. You know what I'm saying? Remember how people used to behave? Remember how people used to know when to hold their tongue and not say shit that was just going to piss people off for no reason? We're trying to go back to that. We're trying to go back to the days when you could have a conversation with a total stranger and not worrying about making that stranger think that you're one of the biggest a-holes on the planet. So that's what we do every day at noon. That is the current events-driven, hot topic pop culture show called High Noon. We come back at 9 o'clock every night and we do something called Pillow Talk. Hi, Byron. Byron's here. We do something called Pillow Talk. That's it's also topic-driven, but it's more conversational as opposed to utilitarian, which is the word I like to use to describe the High Noon show. The Pillow Talk show at 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's myself. It's Pugs and Parker proudly present Pillow Talk. Both these shows air on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network. We are proud to be a part of them. Whatever. I don't know the proper pronoun. I don't know what gender Radio Misfits is. Okay. So, like I say, typical Parker's going to probably join us around 9 o'clock, and he's going to derail all of the seriousness, all of the very somber, the very concerned conversation that I'll be sharing with you. Fast Outdoor Food says it looks like it might be a big night. We've said that before, and it's a very strange, complicated, kind of emotional response I have to that. A big night means a lot of terror and a lot of horrible stuff for innocent people. But it also makes for, not a whole lot to talk about here. Or no, a big night means we got stuff to talk about. A dead night, a slow night, dead, probably the wrong word to use when we're discussing war. A slow night, and then we get into, the other night we drifted into some UFO talk. The events unfolding before us came to a screeching halt after a lot of excitement. I think this was Friday night. And I delved into some UFO talk, which, it got weird. It gets weird. I think I'd been on for like 5 hours. It got weird. 9 o'clock is when we typically start this show. Monday nights through Thursday nights. That's the time for Pillow Talk, 9 o'clock. But I wanted to come on early because, Parker has a tendency to sidetrack us with silly stuff, which is fine. Maybe we need that. Maybe we need that as a break. Who knows? There are a whole bunch of things. We are listening to the live cams. Let's pull up the live cams that we're hearing. That's that buzzing that you're hearing, a live look in on Kyiv. Let's see. How many cams do we have going here? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 cams, 13 working cams. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Unlucky 13. We've got a green screen on the bottom right, and we've got the flag of Ukraine there on the top left. A lot of stuff has happened headline-wise and news-wise since we last left the air. A little after 3 o'clock, 3:30, something like that is when we signed off the noon show. There was no action. We had heard air raid sirens in Kyiv for a couple of times. We didn't hear any real sounds of war. You know, we heard a cat. We heard a number of cats stationed somewhere near the webcam that we were watching, and they were not liking the sirens. They were not liking it at all. We also hear the wind rustling. But as far as actual a war, you know, we keep hearing all of this stuff. We keep hearing that the Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. But the city of Kyiv, I mean, look at this. We've got 13 different angles here in different locations spread out around the city of Kyiv. And it seems pretty quiet. It seems pretty peaceful. It seems, I'm not going to lie to you, it seems damn scary. But so far, nothing to report. And that's a good thing. We have to keep telling. There's this dark sense, you know, that when something happens, you know, our attention gets brought up like this is a TV show, and we have to keep reminding ourselves that this isn't a TV show. This may be something that we're behaving as voyeurs with, but for the people there, this is not a TV show. This is modern war. This is the first truly modern. Well, isn't every war the first modern war? I mean, couldn't they have said that in World War II? Weren't they saying this is the first modern war? And then in Vietnam, this is the first modern war. So I guess that's not the proper way to phrase it. It is the first time we've, as a viewing public, as unmolested observers, this is the first time that we've been able to actually watch it in the way that we have. Let me draw your attention to the far right column of cameras. It says Cam 6. Is that a guy standing there? Doesn't it look like a guy just standing perfectly still right here? Is that like a gas station or something like that? I don't know. Let me just take a look. And again, with our war coverage, I do less performing. I do less of the typical host type theatrics. This war coverage stuff is just you and me and all of us together, just watching and seeing what we can see and talking about the latest as it comes across our social media feeds. I was distracted for a good hour this afternoon because in the midst of all of my war update stuff on my Twitter feed came a little something from my hometown. There was a you people who tune into the show, there's a couple of things that I love. I love dogs, I love America, and I love car chases. There was a car chase in my hometown. And when I say my hometown, I don't mean Chicago. I mean literally like the neighborhood that I come from, the south suburb that I come from, Tinley Park. It was exciting too, boy. It went on for the better part of 45 minutes. It was crazy. So I was distracted. I was out of war coverage for about an hour. I was tweeting with friends. Let me see here. The mainstream news media is doing a really good sell job on tonight, being the night. Yeah. By the way, it's 4:11. We should mention it's 4:11 a.m. in Kyiv. This has traditionally, through the first 4 nights previous to this has been a time when stuff has happened. When there's been the bulk of the fighting, the bombing, the missile attacks, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything here. You know what I want to do first, though? When last we left, we had checked in on the flight tracker and we were looking at some interesting planes. We saw the first of what could be described as military warplanes in the sky. We've seen a lot of military planes in the skies over Ukraine and in the surrounding areas. We've seen strato tankers, extenders. Those are the gas stations in the sky that the United States Air Force uses to refuel fighter jets and patrol jets and that sort of thing. They've been up there pretty regularly. We've seen Fort 11 and Fort 12. which is a United States Air Force reconnaissance drone that has been buzzing over the the Russian Navy Black Sea Fleet there in Sevastopol in the Crimea. They've been out there. We saw Homer 11, which is a big United States Air Force reconnaissance plane. We've seen Royal Air Force British reconnaissance planes. We saw yesterday, we saw a Spanish Air Force troop transport plane fly into Warsaw. And today we've also seen Canadian Air Force. We've seen Canadian Air Force military planes. We've not seen any fighters except for earlier today. We saw a fighter. I don't remember who it was. I don't remember what nation it was, but it was some nation had a fighter jet up in the air with its transponder on so that we could see it for a short period of time earlier today. Maybe you guys in the chat room, maybe you can remember who it was. All right, so that was the last time we checked in. Let's see what's happening now. We'll quickly jump off this as there seems to be a lull in the whatever. I don't want to call it action. I don't know. I'm struggling with this. I mean, I'm still fascinated to no end by all of this, and especially with technology providing us with these tools to be able to watch this like we're playing a video game or something. That's probably not healthy for us. Okay, so here we go. Here's Flight Tracker up in action. We're seeing all the commercial planes. Are they still flying to the far east of Russia? Let's see, we can't get any jets up here. There doesn't seem to be any jets at all in Russia. Come on, load up, kids. There we go. There's some. What is this guy? This guy looks, is this a private jet or is this a, yep, that's a private jet. Okay. The ones that look like this, that's the shape of the military planes. Okay, let's go down here. Black Sea. We've got no action in the Black Sea. Neither Fort 11 nor Fort 12 is there. What's going on here in Georgia? What is this guy? That's an Aeroflot. Yeah, that's an Aeroflot passenger plane. Okay. All right, let's take a look and see what the most watched planes in the world are. Okay, here we go. This is our buddy. This is United States Air Force. This is our Boeing Stratotanker. This is the gas station in the sky. This is not new to any of you. This is the guy that's been stationed right here in Romania for the better part of the last 4 days. Again, I'll say this, him being up in the air means that right here, the border here with Ukraine and Poland, where is Poland? There we go. Well, actually, it's more like Hungary and Slovakia. Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, they are all NATO nations. So we have to assume that this plane is up in the air because we have NATO military patrol jets flying the border, just keeping an eye on things. Okay, so that's that guy. He's no stranger to us. We've seen him before. Who's this? Well, isn't this guy interesting? What is this guy? This guy's got a number designation, and there's absolutely no other information about him. Where is he? Commercial legal planes. If this was just like a passenger plane, then it would have all kinds of, it would tell us what it is. He would have a destination. This one's got no stated destination, no country of origin, no nothing, no registration. All we got is just some random numbers. So that's probably why people are watching him. People are wondering, what is that guy doing so close to the border? Okay, we don't know what that guy is. That guy is incognito. How about this one here? What's number 3? Okay, this is a Ukraine international flight. It's nice to see the Ukraine flights are still taking out of neighboring countries because all the airports in Ukraine themselves are closed. Where's this guy going? Dubai. All right, he's going to Dubai. All right. I don't know why he would be the third most watched plane. Who's this guy? This guy's going to be another passenger plane. Istanbul to Moscow. This is Turkish Airlines. Okay, that's, again, people are watching them for a reason. I don't know what it's about. Now, this guy in Delhi to New York. That's American Airlines. Fly the friendly skies. All right. All right. So there's really just one. We got one. We got the tanker up there. He's interesting. And then we got Mr. Nobody. Mr. Nobody right here. We don't know who Mr. Nobody is. There he is. There he is, flying close to the border. Who's this guy right next to him? That's a Finnish airline. Finnair. Okay. All right. So there you go. We've checked in on that. We know what's happening with flight radar. There's not a whole lot of action going on. Let's go back to our cameras. There we are. Looks like we've got some movement on the... Yes, Byron. Bob Odenkirk starred as Mr. Nobody. A good film. Yeah, I don't know. Fast Outdoor Food says Fort 11, the United States Air Force reconnaissance plane, and his partner, Fort 12. Were they up earlier today? I don't remember. I don't know if they're done with their mission. I don't know if it's time to bring the drones back. They've seen everything. I don't know. Al points out that the fighter plane that we saw earlier was a Royal Air Force, so it was a British warplane. Okay, cool. Hi, Kenny. Kenny's here. Greetings to you, Kenny. Fine, sir. Welcome aboard. We don't have much happening here. All right, so let me get into the headlines. All the things that have changed in the last 4 hours. Some new information that we've got. Just as we were signing off, we talked, breaking just at the time, the United States has expelled 12 Russian diplomats from the Russian mission to the United Nations in New York for alleged espionage. We don't know anything more about that other than Moscow isn't happy. They're screaming, they're yelling, they're angry. But hey, your economy's tanking, guys. You got bigger fish to fry. The other big news coming out today, they've been pounding this. The mainstream media has been pounding and pounding and pounding this one. This is the 40-mile-long Russian convoy that is headed towards Kyiv. I don't know how much progress they're making. We don't know where it is. U.S. satellite image company Maxar says that the latest images show that this military convoy seen north of Kyiv is considerably longer than the 17 miles it was initially reported as. And as I just said, it's at approximately 40 miles long. Now, interestingly enough, maybe one of you guys can try this at home. I don't think I've tried it on 2 separate computers now. But in the early stages of the war, we were using Google traffic patterns to see where troop movements were, because roads that would typically not have heavy traffic, when they're moving a 40-mile convoy of military equipment, that's going to show up like a pretty big traffic jam on a road that otherwise wouldn't be. The first night, it was very helpful. The second night, it was very helpful. It showed us where troops were in and around Kyiv. When Kyiv was under the initial attack, the Google traffic patterns was showing us where fighting was taking place, where traffic had come to a halt. And I can't access that now. It's been a couple of days of me trying to access that information with Google Maps. And I mean, it would completely be reasonable that Google has decided that they shut it down. They did. Kenny says Google announced they shut it down. Okay. That takes a little bit of the tools out of our toolbox that we were using, but I completely understand. I mean, if me, a guy sitting here in Island Park, Texas, can sit and watch troop movements, it's probably not a good thing to have that out there. So, okay, so that makes sense. I assumed it was. Bing has done the same thing, too. I tried to use the Bing traffic patterns, and then I tried to use another thing called global traffic, and that was down as well. Jeff says, hey, Pugs, earlier today you said you try to learn something new every day. I do. Every day I try to learn at least one new thing. Unfortunately, at my age, that comes at a cost. That means I forget something that I knew. Got to make room. Got to make room in the noggin. The new thing comes in and something stupid like the name of the effeminate big guy in Scooby-Doo who wore the scarf, who was totally gay, but you couldn't say he was gay back in that guy's gone. I don't know who that guy was, but now I know that there's a thing called the White Sea in the north of Russia. So, it's a trade-off. Jeff says, hey, Pugs, earlier today you said you try to learn something new every day. Earlier tonight I was over on Laura Ingram's page. I do not even know that. I don't need to know. Now I know that she has a page. I didn't know that. I didn't need to know that. I assumed it, but I didn't really have confirmation. Thanks, Jeff. You've just taught me something I didn't need to know. Earlier today I was over on Laura Ingram's page and I learned this one of her regulars. Earlier tonight, I was over on Laura Ingram's page, and I learned this one of her regulars. Ukraine is to be called Khazaria and is home to the remaining members of the Khazafria Mafia, who, as it turns out, controls the world's deep state. Putin is actually fighting evil. Now you know. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do with these people? I don't know. Hey, at least we're able to put a Twitter feed to the crazy. We're identifying them slowly, incrementally. Yes, here's Byron, our resident Qologist. There is no deep state. There are just a whole bunch of rich guys all over the globe who get whatever the hell they want whenever they want it because they've got a lot of money. There are deep pockets. There is no consistent deep state with some formulated plan. It's just whatever they want from moment to moment. So this 40-mile-long Russian convoy that's been heading towards Kyiv is the big story of the night. Here's another big headline that came out after we had signed off. The National Hockey League, the NHL, has announced the immediate termination of all business relations with Russia. Again, we were talking about these sanctions and how the sanctions, at least in day one of market trading and ruble trading, it seems to be wreaking absolute havoc with the oligarchs and their precious gold, and whatever else it is that they've built their wealth on. The Russian economy is in a complete free fall. They've suspended trading for the next 5 days at least. That's a big deal. That's a big deal to the rich people. But how are you affecting the people in the street? I keep saying, pissing the rich people off is fine, but that needs to work in conjunction with making the people on the street, the average workaday Joe, if you will. You got to get them angry. You got to because the rich guys, the oligarchs, are not the ones that are going to drag Putin out of his palace and beat him to death in the street with baseball bats. That's not cricket bats, whatever the hell they use. They're soccer balls. I don't know what they're into. Hockey sticks. There you go. Hockey sticks. That's what they beat them to death with. It's Russia. You got to do things that are going to affect the people to make them want to be against this war. And the NHL stopping all business relations with Russia. That's one way to do it. Here's another way to do it. The Walt Disney Company will no longer show its films in Russia. Gonna have a lot of angry toddlers, a lot of angry Russian toddlers. And Russian toddlers, I imagine, are angry anyway because they're Russian. There's not a whole lot to be happy about. Ukrainian media reports that Putin's army has now launched an offensive on Kherson. Okay? That's just from the last couple of hours. Let's take a look at where Kherson is, shall we? Okay, let's see. I'm not familiar with the hamlet of Kherson. Come on now. Oh, come on, maps. Don't get wiggy with me right now. Okay. Let's see here. Kherson, city in Ukraine. That would be the one I'm looking for. Thank you, Google Maps. Okay, it's another one of these cities on the Dnieper River. Let me pull this up for you, and then we'll see its relation to Kyiv, because that seems to be the city that we're all watching tonight. Okay. Ukrainian media reports that Putin's army has now launched an offensive on Kherson. All right, so there's Kherson. Let's see where this is. Okay, once again, it's not exactly looking like they're making all that much progress. Where's Dnieper? Okay, so Kyiv is all the way up here at this end of the Dnieper. And again, they're just... What are we looking at here? Oh, come on. I don't want to look at that. Where's Kherson? Now, did I lose Kherson? I lost Kherson, didn't I? Son. There it is. There's Kherson. Okay. What are we looking at here? This is just a couple of miles off the coastline. I mean, they're just a couple of miles off. They're making very little progress. This is a city. They're still working on these cities. These are cities that they had expected to control on the first night. And they still don't control it. Another one of these river towns. A lot of these cities based on the Dnieper. That's how you pronounce it. I had a Russian history teacher who told us how to pronounce the Dnieper and the Dniester. Oh, okay. All right. So that's where that's happening. Let's go back. I'm really focused on the cameras today. I'm gonna try and stay on the cameras as long as we possibly can, just because we don't want to miss anything. Al says, "Do you think that Putin is finally getting the point that the world didn't like what and we aren't going to take his shit? He probably doesn't care. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. Although he does care to some extent. He sees himself in. Who am I? A Putin expert? No, but I've been listening to a lot of Putin experts. He seems to see himself as a global leader, as one of the most powerful people, one of the most respected and admired leader of this era of global geopolitical strongmen. And that's really not looking good for him. Here we are going into night 5. I just showed you a city that they still haven't taken, and it's a coastal city where they had their vaunted Russian Navy, and it's just about 2 miles off the coast. They still haven't taken that city. This is an embarrassment for the Russian military. This is a real... Lukashenko, the leader of Belarus, is the guy who I was talking about. I think it was earlier today. Maybe it was last night. I don't know. These all sort of blend together. But he predicted back in January that if the mighty Russian military were to go into Ukraine, they'd have control of the entire country in 2 days. Well, it's 5 days. They don't have control of anything. All right. Ukrainian media reports that Putin's army has now launched an offensive on Kherson. Elon Musk, his Starlink satellite systems are already working all over the Ukraine. This, according to speed test, download speeds in Kyiv are over 100 Mbps. I don't know what that means, but some of you internet guys might. He has put up a way to connect to the internet. Or he has a way to connect to the internet as a part of his SpaceX program, and he has moved his satellites over Ukraine. So he's look at that. Look at Elon Musk doing some good for humanity, I suppose. General Motors has announced that they've suspended all car exports to Russia. This is from Fox Business. Snake Island, we talked about this. The heroes of Snake Island, they were the guys that were protecting the island, the Rock of Nothing, that is the mythical home of Achilles in Greek mythology. It's off the coast of Odessa there in the Black Sea. It was the property of the Ukraine, but Putin coveted it for some reason. He wanted to take control of it. We were first told that it was 13 members. They were trending as the Snake Island 13 members of the Ukrainian army who basically told the Russian Navy to F off And the first stories were that they were all killed. It is now coming out through the Ukrainian government that they are not dead at all. In fact, there's 82 of them, not 13, 82 Ukrainian military personnel there on Snake Island. They're alive, and they are in the custody of the Russian army. They fought, and then they ran out of ammunition, and then the Navy came in and said, "Okay, you're all under arrest." So, but according to the Ukrainian Defense Ministry, they're okay. CNN has Vitaly Klitschko, the mayor of Kiev, on live right now. Be interested to see what he has to say. Of course, Vitaly Klitschko of the Klitschko brothers, the heavyweight boxing brothers. Vitaly, the mayor of Kiev, former multiple-time heavyweight champion of the world, is now the mayor of Kiev. Look at him. Talk about a hero. This guy's he's out there fighting. He's wearing his... What is he wearing? Well, he's not wearing the suit of a mayor. He's wearing more of a resistance fighter kind of ensemble. He's got the haircut too. I pointed out earlier that everybody in Ukraine seems to go to the same barber. Every dude of a certain age has that same haircut, and it was pointed out that it's a Peaky Blinders haircut, and it is very, very similar to the haircuts you'll see in the TV show Peaky Blinders. Vitaly Klitschko definitely has one of those as well. It's the closed, like very close cut, buzz cut. Ed points out that Elon Musk's Starlink is providing more speed to the internet than I have in the guest house. Well, that sounds like a failing of the Radio Misfit operation. Just pointing that out. Seems like we should have that. We should at least have something as good as the wealthiest man in the world can provide with his own satellites to an embattled nation. That's just me. That's just my opinion. I'm just throwing that out there. Russian users. You want to strike at the soul of the people who are going to drag Putin out of his palace and beat him with hockey sticks? Here's how you do it. Russian users can no longer pay for Netflix and Spotify subscriptions with their bank cards. It's the first of the month. You know how many people are wanting to watch a little bit of Vikings Valhalla dubbed into Russian tonight, and they can't? These are all like, sure, you can restrict the air access of an oligarch's jet, and that's going to piss him off when he's trying to go for a weekend in Paris. But you want the people of Russia to really be upset? Take away their Netflix. Take away their ability to access Netflix. This is all because of the banks. The world is no longer doing business with the Russian banks, which is why we saw all the people lining up at the ATMs all over Russia the last couple of days trying to get their money out. Let's see, what else do we have? So that's a big one. This is how you strike at the heart. You strike at the heart of the average Russian. According to the Ukrainian authorities, all mobile operators in Ukraine have banned calls from Russian SIM cards in the country. This is having some pretty dark side effects to this. So essentially, if you're a Russian military guy, if you're a Russian soldier, and you got your cell phone on you, and you're trying to make a call from your location of occupation there in the Ukraine, you're trying to call home, you want to talk to your kid before goes to bed or whatever, can't do it anymore. Can't do it. Your phones don't connect. So the unfortunate side effect that this is having is that they're saying that Russian soldiers, this has apparently been happening for 2 days now, but Russian soldiers are now just stealing the phones of citizens and using their phones. Okay, so that's going to happen. Hold on, let me check on something. Getting breaking news here, folks. All the breaking news is coming in. Okay, so we got the Netflix, we got the SIM cards, we got the NHL, we got General Motors, we got Walt Disney not playing movies in Russia anymore. Kharkiv Mayor Igor Tikharov said that Russian troops continue to shell the city, but the city is still in control of the local government. How about that? Kharkiv, that's another one. The invading army came in from the north. Kharkiv is about 20 miles from the border, about 40 miles from the base of operations where the Russian army had their scariest shit. They were based over there. 20 miles from the border. It was supposed to have been the first city that they were going to take. They were going to use Kharkiv as a place to refuel. They were going to basically strip everything that they could from the city to use, and they were going to stage their war, their eastward war, their western war. I'm sorry, their western progression towards Kiev out of Kharkiv. The plan was night 1, take Kharkiv. Night 2, rest of the country. That didn't happen. Here we are, night 5, and Kharkiv is taking a pounding. The best experts keep telling us that Kharkiv could fall at any minute, but boy, oh boy, these people are just putting up a fight. Mayor of Kharkiv says that Russian troops are continuing to shell the city, but it's still in control of the Ukrainians. Very good. Meta, the parent company, Meta of Facebook, all that. Meta is now restricting access to RT and Sputnik accounts. A lot of people are doing that. RT, which is the Russian propaganda, the English language Russian propaganda news network that is just about as evil as it comes. They've been banned all over Europe. They've been taken off a number of European providers. So whereas you used to get them on your satellite or your cable or whatever, you have the apps. The apps have all been rendered inoperable all over Europe. Meta, the Facebook company, is now closing out all of the RT and Sputnik accounts. I don't know what Sputnik is. Well, I know what Sputnik is. Sputnik was their first satellite that they put up there, but I don't think that's what they're talking about. There's probably something else called Sputnik. I want to know why American cable operators and satellite operators haven't taken down RT. That's got to happen within the next couple of days. You would think it's being blacked out all over the world except for America, right? So come on. Let's do this. Let's limit the access of the long reach of the Russian propaganda arm, and let's just get that knocked out everywhere. The White House said the U.S. could discuss sanctions, relieving of sanctions with Russia if it begins de-escalation steps. Well, didn't we know that from the beginning? I mean, if Russia stops its war, sure, we'll go back to business as usual. I don't know how that was presented to the White House. I don't know if it was asked as a question. I don't know if there has been any sort of flag waving in some way, shape, or form, some white flag waving from Russian authorities as to, okay, enough. Have you seen what the ruble is doing? We're tanking. Our entire economy is falling apart here. Can we back off on the sanctions? I don't know if that's where this came from, but the White House has said that they would consider it if Russia begins to de-escalate. There you go. Canada is going to supply Ukraine with anti-tank weapons and also refuse to import Russian oil. This according to Prime Minister Trudeau. Monaco, here you go. Here's one coming after the oligarchs. Monaco, a tax haven often used by the super rich, says it will freeze assets and impose sanctions against Russian oligarchs. Because the average run-of-the-mill Russian isn't spending weekends in Monaco. They're not down there and what is isn't that the French Riviera? Isn't that the fancy part of the world? Okay, so here's something that just as we were coming on the air here, or coming on the stream, I should say, breaking. Ukrainian authorities have announced that Russia has used a vacuum bomb on Monday. This is according to Ukraine's ambassador to the United Nations. A vacuum bomb is that awful thermobaric weapon that we were talking about that they had rolled over the borders a couple of days ago. This is that thing that's we watched. If you were with us earlier, we watched examples of what these TOS-1 systems, the thermobaric weaponry. It's called a vacuum bomb. It's a modern update of what would be a flamethrower, I guess, in the traditional sense. It uses the air around the impact point to create basically melt your lungs. It'll melt all the skin off your body if you're anywhere near the point of impact. It's just an absolutely terrible piece of weaponry. Never before has it been used on civilian populations in an urban setting. It was always used. It's been used in Afghanistan. It's been used in the war in Iraq. It's been used as like a bunker buster kind of thing when there's people hidden in the sides of mountains. You shoot this thing in there. It's never been used against civilians in an urban setting. And Russia was showing signs that they would use it. And now we are hearing that they have used it. No details on where they used it. So, that's developing, as they say, ... And this is big. This is a big one. Ukrainian pilots. This is very big. We need to break down the headline in this and just explain why it's big, because the headline alone might just seem like, Ukrainian pilots have begun arriving in Poland to pick up new MiG-29s. They've been given a whole boatload of new fighter jets that they're going to use. The UK pilots will use Ukrainian pilots. I abbreviate with UK. The Ukrainian pilots, that's troubling because there already is a UK, but okay, for this context, you understand. The Ukrainian pilots are going to be using bases in Poland to fly in and out of their missions. Now, why is that troubling? That's troubling because Poland is a NATO nation. And it's one thing to give this equipment to Ukrainian pilots and let them use them within their own borders. But so what happens now if a Ukrainian pilot is returning and he's being pursued by a Russian pilot? Is this Russian pilot going to pursue him into Poland? If he does, now we've got an international incident. This almost seems like they're baiting Russia into doing something that violates the borders of Ukraine and drifts them into NATO borders. That's big. If they're going to be launching these, and then what happens if Russia's like, hey, you've got all of we're trying to take out their air defenses. You've got them all here at a base right here on the border in Poland. We're going to take out that border, that Polish air station. I mean, this is big. This is big. I can see this being the sort of thing that would create a whole new level to this whole thing. Also, TikTok, not quite as big as the Polish MiG jets. TikTok has suspended the accounts of Russian media, RT and Sputnik as well. So there you have. That's basically all we got from the last couple of hours. Let me see what we're doing here in the chat room. Dude, check your Twitter DMs. Kids are using TikTok to upload videos on how to drive the Russian tanks. Yeah, I did. When we do our little video segment here where we're going to show you some of the tape, there is some tape of people stealing Russian equipment. And I do have a thing on the TikTok things as well. So thank you, Christian. I appreciate it. Although I'll check my DMs. Will Putin face any war crimes? Fast outdoor food. I don't know. People are throwing that around. These are war crimes. I mean, they say that about a whole bunch of people, and they never seem to face trial on them. So, I don't know. I mean, it depends on what he does. The use of the vacuum bomb, if he's using these TOS ones, these thermobaric weapons, if he's using them against civilian populations in urban settings, that's a whole other thing. That's something that very easily could get him a couple of war crime charges. And then what do you do? Then how do you arrest him, right? So you got to go in, you got to arrest him. Well, I guess you could pin him down, right? I mean, he can't leave Russia if he leaves. But if he leaves Russia, it's going to be does Putin travel a lot now? I mean, so he's going to go to China. He's going to hang out with Ping. They're not going to arrest him there. I don't know. I don't know how this all works, but it seems like war crimes are on the table. Certainly, they're saying war crimes are on the table just from the outset because he violated a sovereign nation's borders. He went to war unprovoked against a nation that was recognized globally as a sovereign nation. So yeah, that's kind of a thing. Even if Putin goes home, there has to be some form of restitution paid by Russians. Yeah, I don't know. That's as they say, that's a much higher pay grade than I'm capable of understanding. I don't know. Look, if he just goes home, if at this point he just goes home and calls it a day, I think that Ukraine then moves easily into NATO. I think all of his worst concerns are realized. I mean, what is the end game for the West? I think the pie in the sky hope in the dream is that this is somehow the end to Putin's Russia. But I don't know if that's necessarily going to happen. I don't know. I don't know. Here's the thing. Here's what concerns me most about this. I think that, you know, when I try to answer these questions and I think about these questions, I ponder them through a rational filter. And I'm not entirely certain that Putin is using a rational filter at the moment. The reports from everywhere is that he's frustrated, he's angry, he's humiliated, he thinks his generals are failing him. He's not a nice guy to be around. He's not a nice guy to be around right now. So I don't know. And was he completely lucid and rational in the beginning of all this? People say he seems different. People who know him, people who have been around him. Condi Rice, you know, she has had a relationship with him to some extent for the better part of the last 20 years or so, and she says that he seems different. Michael McFaul, the former U.S. ambassador to Russia, he says that Putin seems different. What does that mean? Is that just Western propaganda? Because let's be honest, it's not just the Russians who engage in propaganda. We're seeing what certainly smells like propaganda coming from the Ukrainian government. But we don't blame them because we understand why they're doing it. They're doing it because they need to keep their people inspired. They need to keep this fight up. They need to keep their people fighting. They're in a pretty tough spot, and they're doing a hell of a job. Hell of a job, Brownie. Hell of a job. Hi, Leslie. Leslie's there. Let me see. What else do we have here? I don't know. Ed, my boss Ed, he's like symmetrical gigabyte speed if you want to go into the big. I don't know. What speak English? I don't know what that means. You know me. What are you doing? What are you showing off with these big nerd words? I don't know them. Breaking news from George Griggs. McDonald's has just announced no Shamrock Shakes in Russia. All right, we got you. Sorry, I'm just doing a scan of the cameras here. Not really seeing much. Okay, let's run through some of the videos that I have compiled. Some of there's just not a whole lot here today, but there's enough. Oh, you know what? First, let me do this. This comes to us directly. How come I'm getting no sound on this? Let's pull this up. This is from Christian. Christian just sent this, and I appreciate it. If you've got me on, if you're a friend of mine on Twitter, and you've got something. Oh, geez, Louises. Hold on. If you're a friend of mine on Twitter, I use Twitter DMs. I don't use my Facebook DMs. I don't have a Facebook DM. What? There we go. I don't have a Facebook instant message that I use very easily. Okay, so this is what Christian just shared. How come there's no sound? There's the sound.
Лайфхак, как его завести? Включаем.
How come the sound isn't working? What's? Okay, wait a second. Okay, here we go. I'm going to try this one more time. I apologize. My bad. This is me. I hit it a couple of times. Unfamiliar with TikTok technology. All right, let's see what this girl's getting into. Can I make it bigger? Is there a way?
Лайфхак, как его завести? Включаем массу. Оба генератора. Теперь втыкаем обогатитель. Опа. Следующий у нас стартер. Все, завелся. Предохранители. 1, 2, 3, 4.
It's such a beautiful language.
А теперь фары и обдув.
So what we're seeing here is, as Christian says, TikTokers are uploading information on how to operate Russian Russian equipment. So when you steal it, when you carjack a Russian tank,
стекла. Нажимаем сцепление. О! И включаем первую скорость.
and look at her go. Make it bigger.
О! Если вдруг вам попадется свободный или брошенный БТР, то сохраняй лайфхак, как его завести. Включаем массу, оба генератора.
All right, let's do it one more time.
Теперь втыкаем обогатитель. Опа. Следующий у нас стартер. Все, завелся. Предохранители. Раз, два, три, четыре. А теперь фары и обдув стекла. Нажимаем сцепление. О! И включаем первую скорость.
Away she goes. Now let's blow some shit up. Look at her.
О! Если вдруг вам
All right, that's pretty. There you go. Ah, the kids are all right. How does she know how to use that? How is that something that she's into? I don't know. I do not know. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. All right. And the boss man Ed, just trying to goad me into being divisive. He sent me a link attacking he who shall not be named. I'm not gonna go there. Al says, Putin, whoops, sorry world, didn't know that this was going to be such a big issue. Vodka rounds on me for the next few years. Lots of love. What's really left for Putin to do at this point? I don't know. I don't know. Leslie, I have Messenger. She's like, get Messenger on Facebook, damn it. I have Messenger when I use the Facebook on my laptop, which I don't use very much. When I use Facebook, I almost always use it on my phone, on the app. And Facebook wants me to have two apps. Facebook, there's an additional app for Messenger, and I just don't have room for it. What am I supposed to do? Get rid of the Kentucky Fried Chicken app? I don't think so. You know what kind of deals we get on that? And my son loves Kentucky Fried Chicken. I do. I check the Facebook one. I'm trying to use Facebook more. I get the ooks. Facebook just ooks me out. Twitter, I like Twitter. That's, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to try. I'll send you better food. You already send me good food. You send me the stuff that I like. Okay, so let's get into some of these. Let's see some of these videos, some of the what do we have here? Oh yeah, let's meet this lady. Let's meet her. She's new. She's someone that the world should know. She's kind of sexy. Look at her. Who's this lady? You know who that lady is? That's the first lady of the Ukraine. That is, let's find out what she says here. So I am Olena Zelensky, the wife of Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. We were married in 2003. In 2004, our daughter Alexandra was born. In 2013, I gave birth to our son, Kirilo. I don't know how to say Kirilo. I am a writer and an architect. I am also being targeted for death by Mr. Putin. That's a handsome woman, as they say. She looks like, she looks like Jane Lynch on her best day ever. That's a fine looking woman. First lady of Ukraine, right there. Olena, targeted for death by Vladimir Putin. Why? Because she's married to the president. All right. Looks like Robin Wright on House of Cards. To a degree, yes. Thank you, Jeff. Amy says, and for some reason, your Facebook doesn't like me. It won't friend me. Yeah, we've been having this problem now for a long time, Amy, but that's okay. You're pretty active on Twitter. We get together. We do our hookups on Twitter. Okay, let's go back. Let's get rid of her. She's a fine-looking woman. But what would you expect, though? I mean, what would you expect? Okay, not only is he the president And he's a superhero to the people of Ukraine. But even before that, he was like the most popular television personality in the Ukraine. So, you know, what I'm saying is his dance card was filled with really good choices. Really, really good choices. She looks very look at her. She looks very elegant, very, very dignified, very strong. I bet she's smart. But she's fun to drink with. All right, here you go. This is the Russian column that is reported to be 40 miles long. That's the only picture we have of it, though. There's a whole bunch. There's other pictures, but I was listening to a military expert earlier today on some I don't even know what it was. It was one of the news channels. It was Sky. It was Sky out of England. It was the Sky News, and he was showing the satellite pictures of the 40-mile-long advancing Russian military invasion force. And he was saying that when something this long, it's actually pretty easy to target with drones. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to target the first three and the last three. And if you can target the first three and the last three, you can basically create enough havoc where everyone in the middle isn't going anywhere. If you can make enough of a mess of the first three all over the road, then the rest can't pass. And then if the last three are also blown, then they can't go anywhere either. So that's those are your fine military minds at work right there. All right, let's bring in James Parker. Parker's here as we get into the 9 o'clock hour, the Pugs and Parker show. Hey, James, how are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking.
We're doing our continue live Ukraine coverage.
So what's the latest? Did they take Kiev yet?
They've still not taken Kiev. We were just looking at the satellite pictures of the 40-mile-long Russian military invasion force that is just to the north of the city. James, they haven't taken anybody yet. You know, they haven't taken anything. We're 5 days in now. And we're talking about something that was rumored to be one of the scariest and most frightening military forces in the globe. And of the cities that they have taken, they're all within 10 miles of the border. They control no major Ukrainian city. The small cities that they take, they can't hold because they don't want to hold, because there's no reason for them to get bogged down there because they don't have the resources to refuel and to food. You know, they're taking like small towns, and then they move out, and then the small towns go back to being the small towns. They've been pounding the hell out of Kharkiv, which is just 20 miles over the border. It was the first city that they targeted. Their plan was to take Kharkiv on night one and use that as a base of operations to be able to refuel, to restock, to get sleep, to relax. We are on night 5, and they are still endlessly pounding Kharkiv, and they are taking an ass whipping. We just looked at another city that they were, It's the city of Kherson. We were looking at the city of Kherson. Media reports tonight that the city of Kherson is taking a pounding. Kherson is like 2 miles from the Black Sea. That's where the Russian Navy is. They've made it 2 miles, and they haven't even taken Kherson. They control none of the Ukrainian airspace. That was supposed to be the first deal. They were going to control the airspace, and then they were going to take the airports, and they were going to land their troops in. They are running out of fuel. They are running out of food. They can't get it's a logistical nightmare for them. They can't re-up on food and fuel because the Ukrainian defense forces have blown up all the railroads.
Well, and also Amazon's like 2 weeks behind.
That's right. They are so busy. Do you have any idea how difficult it is to get your packages from grandma through Amazon right now if you're a resident of Kiev? Have you been watching this? You got any hot takes? You want to do anything that's going to piss us all off? Go ahead. What do you
I kind of want to gloat a little bit because I told y'all don't get excited about this. It's not that big of a deal. And you're like, why are you Putin's best friend? I'm not his best friend. This just isn't going to be World War III, and he's going to take as much as he can, and then he's going to quit, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Remember how like I was sort of
I think that is an incredibly oversimple. This is a very big deal right now
could have
as
been,
we
could
speak.
have been. It's not a big deal if he doesn't take significant amounts of territory.
You don't think it's of global importance that Putin's vaunted military has been shown to be a paper tiger? That they can't even. I'll give you Lushenko of Belarus in January gave this big speech about this coming invasion. And it was his belief at the time, and he said that it would be a 2-day war. It would be the first day they would take all of the airports in the major cities, and then on the second day, they would gain control of the country. They're getting their ass handed to them.
Right. What was everybody worried about? What was everybody freaking out about? This isn't nothing
What?
big's going to happen from this.
This is a bit of a revisionist position that you seem to be
See,
taking.
that's why I it sounds like you always sound like a jerk when you're gloating. So I can't get around it other than gloating.
Well, I don't know. You said that this wasn't going to be anything. Like you said that this wasn't going to be a war. You said on the first night there would be no deaths.
Right.
There's thousands of deaths. There's civilians there's children who are dying. There are civilians who they used vacuum bombs today. The Russian military are so desperate they're using thermobaric weaponry, the TOS-1 system, which had only previously been used in Syria. That's a war crime. You can't use that particular piece of weaponry on a civilian population in an urban setting, and it seems like he did that today. This is huge.
No, look, Leslie and Pugs, I know this is a thing, but this is almost best case scenario for a Putin invasion. Worst case scenario would be he took Kiev by now, and he's taken wide swaths of the country, and he's able to hold it. No, the Ukrainians are actually fighting back, handing them a bunch of guns and telling them just shoot that direction. Seems to be working okay. Sounds like the Russian army isn't something we really have to be worried about. This is all cool stuff. Like, this is all pretty good news. Right?
I do agree with you. I absolutely agree with you that for those of us who despise Putin and think that he needs to be taken out of power, needs to be replaced. There are those of us, and I don't think you're one of us, but there are those of us who believe that a Western-leaning Russia would be an amazing thing for the world. A free democracy rising up out of the oligarchy that is currently in power in Russia. That would be an incredible thing. Be an incredible thing for Europe. Be an incredible thing for the entire world. And we're moving towards that. This is an embarrassment to Vladimir Putin on a level that I don't think he ever anticipated. Now, the concern is that there really is a powerful bear that is sleeping. And what is a desperate, frustrated, and humiliated Putin going to do? At some point, is he going to just say, okay, that's it, forget it, we're just going to carpet bomb Kyiv? Because he hasn't done that.
Yeah, and so the nuke card is the Trump card that everyone has to worry about ultimately. Like, you can never just dismiss that. Like, well, he'll never do that because you don't know. But if he does that, it is the last flailing convulsions of a dying attempt here.
Dictator. Yeah.
Yeah.
No coming back from that. And the saber rattling that we've heard over the last couple of days about that. It doesn't make you feel good. But considering the nuke card, what I'd been saying in the lead up when people were like, well, he's got nukes, this is going to be a problem. And my position was always, no, it's not. He wants to occupy Ukraine. He doesn't want to make it unlivable. He doesn't want to flatten Kyiv. He wants to turn Kyiv into another capital of a newly formed Russian republic. They are like the grain basket of Europe. They produce more wheat than anybody else in Europe. He doesn't want to ruin the farmlands.
No, and it doesn't work if you have to go get the wheat in special suits,
Right. No, that is not
carry on.
Yeah. So the idea that he was going to nuke was ludicrous. It was absurd.
It is.
But what is he lucid? Is he losing his mind? He's, leaks coming out of that part of the world is that he's berating his generals and that he's now in isolation and he's not taking counsel from anybody. Do we believe this stuff? I don't know. You know what I mean? I mean, like, you hear, we can talk all about Russian propaganda, but I've been pointing out that there's a lot of Ukrainian propaganda as well. And the West, we are no strangers to propaganda. We do it as well as anybody.
Yeah. So he's going after the most resource rich province that is most closely tied to Russia, that has the highest ethnic Russian minority population possible. So he's just trying to chip at the block and get the old Soviet Union back together. And even if not, that's his actual master plan. At least all the parts that are majority Russian, you think he thinks he'd be able to chip all that off because he has successfully done that. He did it with Georgia, he did it with Ukraine and the Crimean Peninsula, just that eastern slice of Ukraine that they took. So he just wanted a little bit more. And he found out that he may be at the extent of what he can get. And he might be a guy that's one of these bad dictators that has, territorial ambitions, but ends up sitting on his hands for the rest of it. Like Muammar Gaddafi, he was trouble for a while. And then when he got he got the memo at some point that he's not really going to be able to do anything outside of his borders. And so he just chilled for like 30 years until the whole.
Yeah, but different apples and oranges. Gaddafi wasn't a nuclear power. Gaddafi wasn't a nation. I mean, Libya's tiny. It's a tiny, isolated little place in North Africa. Yeah, we're talking about a guy who, runs the Texas of Europe. This is like This is a very big piece of the globe, a large population, and until the last couple of days, a military that we were all to some degree frightened by. And you hear, is he holding back?
Of course. So he's not like throwing his whole army at this. He's throwing like
75% of the assembled 200,000 troops on the border are now in the Ukraine. Only 25% are still back. So as far as this invasion of the assembled forces, he's not holding anything back. But he is, to your point, he's holding back. He's obviously holding back the nuclear option, which I don't think he wants to do, because I think he knows that that's going to turn him into the Hitler of our day. And he seems to be holding back on massive air attacks, unless he's not holding back, unless they just simply can't initiate them, because the Ukrainian air defenses have been taking planes out of the sky for the last 4 days.
So what's the Belarusian factor? Are they jumping in on the side of Putin? Because I imagine they probably have one of the most dismal militaries, them in like Moldova or something.
Right. Well, Lukashenko, he's another guy. He's a card all to himself. Story I was watching today is that they've arrested thousands of people in Belarus who've been protesting this. And Lukashenko was already completely, like, if they did fair and honest polling, he's polling at like 10%.
Right.
Nobody in that country likes him, which is why he's so beholden to Putin, because Putin is helping him keep his country in line with, military aid and all of that kind of stuff. The Belarusians are supposedly ramping up. There is a big group of Belarusian army who supposedly came across the border and are now entering this war against the people's wishes. But again, Belarus is a dictatorship. So I don't think Lukashenko is long for that country. I think that before they drag Putin out into the street and beat him with hockey sticks, I think Lukashenko's going first.
Isn't he like 80? Isn't he getting just
He's
ridiculous?
An old guy.
Yeah,
he's an old guy. I don't know
he's
if
been
80.
at it for a while, right?
Putin's an old guy. Putin's 70.
No,
right?
not Putin. Lukashenko.
Yeah, Lukashenko's old too, but Putin's old. None of these are young guys except for Zelensky. Zelensky is a young guy.
Okay, a few observations. Wasn't Zelensky the name for the Dan Aykroyd character in Tommy Boy?
I don't know.
Something's been bugging me. I haven't bothered to Google it because I don't want to have it stuck in my head.
I know that Russell, the Harold Ramis character in Stripes, was named Zinsky. He was Russell Zisky.
Ugh.
Close.
Another observation, these Eastern European people, what is their deal with tracksuits? They love tracksuits. Like, what is this 1989? What are y'all doing?
I thought that was more of an American Eastern European wardrobe choice. Because you see, if you have, I don't know about in Tyler, if you have a big Eastern European population there.
Zero. We have none of them.
If you've ever been to a vodka bar in a Ukrainian village in a place like Chicago or maybe Little Odessa in New York, yeah, you see a lot of tracksuits.
They do that.
Yeah.
It's like it's Run DMC 1986 or something. Another one observation from Eastern Europe is I've seen a few Ukrainian playgrounds. I like to show that because it's sort of like an emotional tug at your heartstrings.
Oh yeah, sure.
But
It's
they
a
have
silver
like
slide.
they have the surplus toys that we used to play on in the McDonald's playground in 1982. You know, like the slide that looks like it was a World War II surplus itself. It's made out of like damn bulletproof steel. Gets to like 110 degrees in the sun. But then some of them are just like welded together seats that are on some giant spring from like a diesel semi trailer or something. You know, just the big spring that you just do this until you fly off and then it hits you and Birdie knocks you out.
They don't seem to have the overt concerns for the safety of our playing children that we have here in this country. Everything here now is plastic, and the
Soft,
playground,
yeah.
the playground surface is now like some kind of indoor outdoor rubber sort of made from recycled tires. And nothing, there's no rust. Yeah, it does. It appears that a lot of sharp edges on their playground equipment is what I'm seeing. A lot of
Well,
sharp edges and rusting pieces of equipment. They don't
I
really.
don't think this is a small point because anyone who sees the comparison between the playground you just described with the insurance nightmare that is a Ukrainian playground, you got to think, well, these Eastern European, they're probably a little bit more robust to people. You know, at least if you go through this childhood and you versus that one, you're going to grow up and be a little tougher if you're option A rather than option B. So maybe we need to stop wussing up our playgrounds and go back and toughen them up a little bit.
Yeah,
Was that
you
so wrong?
you as a parent of what, 5, 6, 7 kids, you,
Yeah,
you
something like
looking
that.
you looking at spending a lot more time in the ER? Is that what you're doing? Is that what you're hoping to do?
I just
Spend
don't want them to grow up soft, and I don't have we go to the playground in my little cute subdivision, and it's all safe stuff.
uh
Like I'm lucky that they still have a playground that's old enough to have monkey bars, because on any new playground, those have disappeared. There's no more monkey bars. So
really?
yeah, that's not a thing anymore. I don't think any insurance company would like the old ones have been grandfathered in, but they don't build new monkey bars these days. Period.
Do you know that my worst action as a father in the history of being a father occurred on monkey bars? He was 4 years old at the time. My 4-year-old son broke his arm on the monkey bars at the park. I
Oh, and that's one of the guilt trips that hangs over your head.
Yeah. He was hanging from the monkey bars, and he seemed fine. He seemed fine. I let him go, and he fell, and I didn't catch him, and he landed like on all fours, and he didn't break his arm like a compound fracture. It was a bubble fracture, but he had to wear a cast. And whenever they put a 4-year-old in a cast, you're gonna have to talk to somebody with a clipboard at the hospital. They're gonna
Oh
ask some
no,
questions about how the
God!
4-year-old broke his arm.
Great.
Well, I grabbed him because he wouldn't do what I said. No, it was like one of those kinds of things.
Told him to eat his peas.
Yeah, no, that was rough. And it was on monkey bars. Monkey bars. The kid fell off the monkey bars and broke his arm at 4 years old. Ooh, the divorce was fresh at that point. Let me tell you, that conversation didn't go well. That was a rough conversation. I believe I was called the worst father on the face of the earth. That stung. That hurt.
Byron says the monkey bars disappeared because it hurt the fat kids' feelings that they couldn't hang. Hey, I have a better observation. Is the kids aren't as fat as they were. I think we reached peak fat kid probably around 2010, and it's gotten better. Like, because you can only get so fat. And I have a younger cousin that when she was in high school, her friends were huge, man. They were all, it was just like a herd of cows running through the high school. And
Are
now
you
that my
saying you don't see fat kids anymore? Is that the
no, come
contention that you
on,
are
man,
making?
is that what I said? No. They're few. They're not as prevalent as they were 10 years
I
ago.
believe you said that they reached peak density about 10 years ago. And
Yes,
now,
and that doesn't mean I don't see any fat kids now.
right.
It's not that.
You just don't see as many.
It's like not 90% of them aren't fat like they were about 10 years ago. It's
It's like
down to
me
like
with
70.
dwarves. So when I was a little kid, I used to see dwarves everywhere. I never see dwarves anymore. Unless, it's like
Yeah.
a Kid Rock concert. That's like the only time I see a dwarf now.
Well,
But when I was a
that guy
kid, I
died.
used to see them all the time.
That guy died.
Yeah, and so did another Britney. Did you know that Britney Spears had a dwarf?
Did I know that?
I don't know.
I don't think I knew that.
Britney Spears also had a dancing dwarf.
Did Chelsea Handler's dwarf die?
That's the guy. That was Britney
Chewy?
Spears' dwarf. Yeah, who?
His name was Chewy.
No, wasn't that Jimmy Kimmel's guy, and he's not a dwarf.
Damn.
Or was it Chelsea Handler's? Danny something. He worked on Chelsea Handler's show, And okay, all right. What do I Google? Deceased dwarf.
Chelsea's midget.
But he was a performer because Chelsea Handler is off the air. He was a performer in Britney Spears' show. Okay. Well, honestly, how do I Danny
Really
the
need to look
dwarf?
this up?
I think it's Danny the dwarf.
I
The
thought it was
dwarf.
Chewy. Chelsea's was Chewy, I think.
Okay, so apparently there's somebody named Danny Dwarf, and that's not who I want. Okay, that's not it. It just happened over the weekend. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, wait a second. Hold on. Yeah, look at me. I know I'm going down the dwarf
rabbit hole.
Comedian. There you go. I think he was a comedian.
Al says Donnie Davis.
That's him. Al's right. That's him. It is Donnie Davis. He just died over the weekend or something. Donnie Davis. There might be foul play in Las Vegas hotel death of Danny Davis. There might be foul play in Las Vegas hotel death of comedian Donnie Davis, authorities say. The possibility of foul play is being considered in the death of comedian who was found in Las Vegas hotel room. According to police, Donnie Davis, 43, was found unresponsive Tuesday at the Las Vegas Resorts World Hotel, according to Fox 5 Las Vegas. Davis was transported to Sunrise Hospital and died just minutes later. Okay, where does it say what he was? Davis spent much of the evening with a group of people at the Doghouse Bar. Davis was with a friend. Davis says friend. The friend reportedly, witnesses later reported Davis hotel. Come on. Tell me what it was. Davis spent his career as an impersonator, rubbing elbows and performing alongside A-list celebrities such as Britney Spears, Miley Cyrus, and Chelsea Handler. According to TMZ, Davis was hired as a dancer for Spears' 2013 residency show in Las Vegas and regularly appeared as a guest on Chelsea Lately. There's one more dwarf that I'm not just going to run into on the street.
Yeah, the ranks are getting thinner. I'm telling you, Chelsea had Chewy though. Handler.
Amy says, "Oh my God, my oldest had a toddler fracture at 10 months. She literally fell into a squat. This was when I was married to my ex, who was low ranking in the Air Force at the time. We were extensively investigated. It was not child abuse, but it took a pediatric specialist to come in with the toddler fracture diagnosis. Such a long story. Whole thing really sucked. Yeah, little kids aren't supposed to break bones. So, I'm glad that they have these safety nets in place to investigate when a kid does. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm sorry that I had to sit and feel like the world's worst parent when talking to some psychologist at Parkland Hospital. When that's going to happen. And they're all looking at you like you're the absolute worst.
Because you're the worst. You're evil. Stop beating up your kid.
Here, you know what? We should do this. We should keep the let me make room here, James. We're gonna minimize ourselves. We need to go back to the I just saw something on Twitter that said that there were sirens going off in Kyiv, and no sirens that I can see. The birds are up though. It is now 5:21 in the morning. And it looks like absolutely nothing happened tonight in Kyiv. So, once again, well, let me check the latest headlines. Let me see what the latest story is as far as troop movements. And that 40-mile long column is what I've been interested in.
So what is this checkerboard screen we're looking at?
These are 13 different cameras placed around Kyiv. So we're looking for any kind of explosion.
Like Metro scan traffic or something?
Yeah, no, you know that Google and Bing Maps and all of the traffic service maps, they've all stopped allowing people like you and me to track troop movements in the Ukraine. They've disabled the ability that shows traffic patterns.
That's rude.
Probably a good idea. I mean, they probably realized, hey, if a bunch of dumb guys doing a live stream can track Russian military movement, maybe we should disable that option. Hope it comes back, though. Western media outlets report that the decision on granting Ukraine the status of an EU candidate is likely to be made as early as today. Look at that. They're going to get, I told you they were getting fast tracked into the EU after today. They're going to be a full-fledged member of the European Union starting tomorrow. Okay. American lawmakers have called on President Joe Biden to grant temporary protected status to Ukrainians in the United States in connection with the Russian military invasion of Ukraine. I don't know what that's about. Does that mean we're gonna take refugees? Because that's not consistent with our mindset. As far as we don't take refugees, at least we don't take them from brown countries. One of the topics at a U.S. briefing discussing Russian aggression against the Ukraine was the mental state of Putin. Senator Chuck Grassley, who attended the Senate briefing, confirmed that it was about Putin's mental state, but declined to go into detail about what was said. MasterCard has blocked a number of financial institutions' access to payments. Oh, did you hear about this? So Netflix, if you're a Russian citizen and you have Netflix or Spotify, your payment's getting rejected this month. They've shut down the ability. So, like how my Netflix is on my debit card, it's just, that's how I get paid. Because of the sanctions against the Russian banks, all the people in Russia, they can't get their Netflix. I'm telling you.
Dang.
That's the kind of stuff that's going to get Putin dragged out and beaten to death with hockey sticks. Now, the oligarchs not being able to fly their private jets to Mallorca or whatever the hell that place is called, not being able to run off to a weekend in Paris without having to circumnavigate the globe because they can't fly over any European countries. That's an inconvenience to the upper class. But when you start taking away people's access to the new Netflix show, Vikings Valhalla, yeah, you're going to have some pissed off Russians.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. I'm still working on Money Heist and the new Ozark.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. You're one of my Vikings buddies. You liked Vikings, right?
All of them. Seen them all.
Seen
Vikings, seen The Last Kingdom.
Oh, yeah. Did you watch Vikings and Last Kingdom like at the same time so that you get to see the two? See, here's what I love about Last Kingdom and Vikings. Okay.
Because they overlap. You have Ragnar's kids in Last Kingdom.
Well, essentially what you are seeing there is the exact same story. You're seeing the Saxon tales. You are seeing the exact same story from two different perspectives.
Right.
Vikings is the perspective of the Vikings invading the United Kingdom. And then the Last Kingdom is from the perspective of the King Alfred the Great,
the Saxons
being invaded by the Vikings. Yeah, and they have some of these same overlapping characters and all that. The new Vikings, except the only thing I don't like is, and I've done some extensive research on this, Uhtred is maybe he's real, maybe he's not. They're not sure because there was a guy back then named Uhtred who was half Dane and half Saxon, but they don't have a whole lot of information on him. So, but all the people that Uhtred interacts with on Last Kingdom are Leslie. Do you know about that? Leslie, I know Leslie's the one who's got Lagertha as her screen picture there. Leslie,
Shield Maiden Lagertha.
Yeah. Do you watch? Have you seen Last Kingdom too? Last Kingdom's really good, Leslie. I don't know if you're into that. Ubo looks a lot nastier in Last Kingdom. Jeff says.
Yeah.
He's older though. Yeah, he's older. I can tell you that you'll really like Vikings Valhalla. I'm 4 episodes in.
Cool.
It's an 8-episode season. It's really cool, and they name check like a lot of the people that we love from the original Vikings. Like
Good.
they're always toasting to the memory of Ragnar, like stuff like that.
He must have been a big deal for a while.
He was a big deal. And they toast to the memory of Ivar the Boneless. They do like all
this.
This.
A little sicko, huh?
It's very good.
Did they mention Rollo?
No, I've not heard any mention of Rollo yet. However, this new series, the sequel series to Vikings, which is Vikings Valhalla, takes place 100 years after where Vikings left off, where that series ended. So it takes place 100 years later. And this is something that's going to make you're going to be mad about this, James, but I'm just going to prepare you before you jump in, okay?
Okay.
The new queen, are you ready? The new queen of Kattegat is a black lady. I know that's going to drive your historical accuracy nuts.
No, I'm just glad you didn't say trans, because I would have. That's what it would. It could have been worse. Yeah, black lady, whatever. Could have been worse.
I'm willing to overlook it. I'm willing to
I'm
overlook
okay
it.
with that. I'll do black's fine. Black's fine.
I know that historically speaking, that there were no black kings of Kattegat or queens. I know that wasn't a thing. But hey, we live in some time where actors got to act, and that's fine. Jeff believes that the new queen of Kattegat looks like James Brown in a dress.
Oh no! Well, then that's ridiculous.
It is. That's a bridge too far. I'm offended by that hot take. But
I'm
hey,
not offended by it. It just, couldn't they at least pick a hot one? Not one that looks like James Brown.
Well, she's Jarl Hassan is what Hassan Jarl Hassan. Jarl. Everybody's like Jarl Borg and do you know what that is? You know what Jarl is?
Carl.
No,
like Carlos, isn't it?
No. It's where in England, people who owned lands were earls. That's where the term.
Oh, it's a title.
It's a title. That's where the term earl comes from. From the Dane Jarl. That's Earl. It's like the Earl of whatever, or you're like Jarl of whatever. That's just wind. That's just wind that we're hearing there on the live stream. Okay, so it takes place 100 years after. I'm sorry, I didn't intend to talk about this, but I'm so into it, and since I got you here, why not?
Work out.
Do you know who it covers? Like, who the Ragnar of this one is?
Nope.
Leif Erikson.
Oh, that's super cool.
Yeah, we get to learn about Leif Erikson, who I'm guessing years after the events that we're watching now goes on to discover the New World, Newfoundland, and
Canada or whatever.
But right now he's working for King Harold Finehair in taking the takedown of King Ethelred of. Okay, so there was this thing that happened. And it was called the St. Brice Days Massacre, and that's the jumping off point. The St. Brice Days Massacre happened in England, and it was an order by King Ethelred the Unready, with the slaughter of all of the Viking settlers. Remember how in Vikings, the Vikings were settling land and all that? Mm-hmm. So Ethelred the Unready felt threatened by the Vikings, the Dane in Northumbria. So on St. Brice's Day, the feast day, he sent his troops in and they slaughtered all the settlers. And then you jump to 2 years later where the Vikings heard about this over in Kattegat, and they have formed this massive armada, and they're heading over there to take over. And it's like how we learned. It's basically, if you know your 10th century British Middle Age history, it's the whole story. Essentially, this series is going to end at the Battle of Stamford. So it's going to go all the way up to the Battle of Stamford, which was a battle between Harold Godwinson, who was the King of England after, Edgar the First or something. He is Harold Godwinson, and he goes after, is it Canute? I think it's Canute the Great and somebody else. And they have this big battle. It's the Battle of Stamford, and Harold Godwinson beats back the invading Dane army. This is the history of it. I don't know how they'll portray it in the show because they play fast and free with the facts. But King Harold Godwinson knocks back the Dane invaders at the Battle of Stamford, and he's feeling really good about it. He's feeling like, I'm a badass. So 2 weeks later, he marches his army to Hastings, where he gets his ass kicked by William the Conqueror, and then it's all a completely different ball game in England, because that's when the Normans come. But the Norman at the Battle of Hastings of 1066, That's a very huge turning point in the history of England. It's when the Normans, it's when William took over and the Saxons, the last Saxon and Dane kings were sort of gotten rid of. But what I'd really never pieced together was the only reason that William the Conqueror really kicked ass was because the army he was fighting just fought 2 weeks earlier this insane war against the invading Danish army. Anyway, that's what the series is about. Series ends 2 weeks before the Battle of Hastings.
I believe William the Conqueror is Rollo's grandson.
Yeah, something like that. Great grandson, something like that. Yeah.
In the scheme of things. You want to do a monologue?
Yeah, let's do a monologue. Why not? We'll get into some stuff here. Hold on, give me a second here.
Sure.
Oh, hold on.
Leslie's flexing about her Norman invasion prowess.
What's she saying?
Ask me about the Norman invasion. William the Bastard one.
Okay, hold on. I got to re-sign into all my stuff. I don't know why I got signed out.
You have a VPN server in Ukraine? Is that what happened?
Yeah, something weird is happening. All right, let me close that out. Let's close that out. Boom, 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 boom.
Is that thunder on your end?
That is. No, that's wind blowing against the webcam. Oh, you did. You sent me a monologue. Look at you. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Boom, boom, boom. Pull this up. Give me a sec. Give me a second. I'm behind. I'm behind here. I was. You know what? I'm gonna kill this cam for now. We're gonna. Actually. Yeah. All right. I'm just gonna kill the sound. All right. Let's do what we normally do here. Please. Oh, here I need to do this first. Here we go. All right, please welcome to the stage the man of mirth, a global sensation, a comedy gen beloved the world around. He is James Uhtred Parker.
All right, what is mirth? I have no idea. You said a man of mirth. What's mirth?
I don't know. Uhtred, son of Uhtred.
My weekend was horrendous, though, Pugs. If you're looking for a relaxing getaway, take it from me. Stay the hell out of Kiev right now. It's...
Oh, not funny. Not funny. It's a global crisis. He's making jokes.
Sean Penn is in Ukraine right now making a movie. I hear it's called Fast Times at Kiev High. Yeah, maybe. All right. So gasoline prices are skyrocketing. In California, gas is so expensive, gangbangers are committing drive-by shootings from public buses.
Look at that. Oh, that's funny.
Australian runner John Landy, the second man to run a mile in less than 4 minutes. He passed away over the weekend at age 91. Survivors say in recent years, though, he had slowed down considerably.
Ageism.
No, he's not even cold. In Florida, a 24-year-old female English teacher was arrested for doing sex with a 14-year-old male student. Sadly, the boy was left with a broken heart and a split infinitive. Amid her divorce from Kanye West, Kim Kardashian's put on a brave face, but her friends are worried because she hadn't posted a nude selfie in weeks.
Yeah, they know the MC, me. I'm friends with Kim. We don't like that kind of Kim slander.
Happy birthday to rapper Ja Rule. Tonight he's going to be celebrating with his little brother, Infield Fly Rule.
No! You know what? No!
All right, I'll try again. Hang on.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Let me try it again. Happy birthday to rapper Ja Rule. Tonight he's going to be celebrating with his little brother, Rooney Rule.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Too sensitive. Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's not that it's sensitive. It's just an infield fly rule. That was funny.
No, here, look. Happy birthday to rapper Ja Rule. Tonight he's going to be celebrating with his little brother, 5-second rule.
Okay, there you go. That one got him.
All right, and finally.
They knew what was coming, and they still liked it.
And finally, today is National Tooth Fairy Day. contrary to popular belief, it has nothing to do with gay dentists.
When my kid was like 5 years old, he was losing a tooth, and he said to me, he goes, "Hey, so I think this tooth is gonna come out, Dad." I'm like, "Oh, cool! The tooth fairy's gonna come." He goes, "Yeah. Can I talk to you about something?" Like, he was like 5 years old. I'm like, "Okay, yeah, buddy. What do you want to talk about?" He was all serious. Like, this was a very serious concern for him. This was like something that you and I, if we saw some irregularity with our taxes, that we might speak to a professional about this. Very serious. No joking around. Dad, I I I don't know if the tooth fairy can be real. It doesn't seem like that would be real. I'm like, "Oh, really? Are you concerned about this? Maybe you want to talk about it?" He's like, "Well, see, but I still want the money though." I was like, yeah. So he was willing to go along with it. He just wanted to let me know so that I didn't think less of him. Like, he didn't want me to think that he was too dumb and like would be believing in the tooth fairy, but he was willing to go along with it if it meant that he could still get a couple of bucks under his pillow. I thought that was
I still want the money, though. That's a good line.
I still want the money though. Is there like a deal we can make where I can still pretend?
Yeah, why don't you just keep your mouth shut?
Hey, do all your kids still believe in Santa?
No.
Oh, how old is your youngest?
Oh, she does. She's 6.
Yeah, that's what I said. So
Yeah, I got 6, 8, 10, and 11.
Does 8 still believe in Santa?
He says he does, but he's not a deep thinker, that one.
See, I'm trying to figure out because well, my kid jumped off the whole Santa thing around like 9. I think that's when the Santa thing went away for him.
The older two definitely figured it out.
Did they figure it out, or did they just grow up? Did they just come to an age where I held on to the Santa thing way too long? I was like 17 and I still was believing in Santa. No, but I waited too long. I was like 11. I pushed it a couple extra Christmases. I wanted to believe. I knew that it didn't check out. I knew that it didn't.
And it was fun. It was fun. Why not? There's no downside.
And, I was always good at arguing. So, I'd get into those playground arguments with the kid. There's no Santa. And I'd be like, well, yeah, there is. And here's why. Well, how can he get around the world in one night? That's impossible. He's got a spaceship. Okay.
It's magic, you idiot. It's magic.
I theorized that he had trucking. He had a whole logistics team that could get him around. I thought there was a way. There was a way. Okay. Hey, you got anything before we, cause I'm going to probably, after you leave us, I'll probably go back into some more coverage, but anything that's been happening in your world that you'd like to discuss?
Okay. So, the primary elections in Texas are tomorrow. And one of the things on the ballot, it's weird because if you go to, I can't participate in this because I'm a registered libertarian. And if you're a Republican and you show up, they give you one ballot. If you're a Democrat and you show up, they give you another ballot. They don't have anything for me. So if I were a regular human being that was in one of the parties, I would get to vote for the railroad commissioner of Texas.
Okay.
Now, Pugs, without Googling it, who's the railroad commissioner?
Not a clue. Ringo Starr.
Who's the railroad commissioner? Who was the one before this guy?
No idea.
In the history of Texas, is there one railroad commissioner that you can name?
I didn't even know that was a position. Yeah, until just now, I wasn't even absolutely certain that was a position. And I'm like, maybe.
So I'm guessing you don't know the names of the candidates either that are running for
governor. I do, but yeah.
Well, yeah, for governor, sure, but railroad commissioner.
Yeah, I can't vote here because I'm still registered in Illinois. So I can't vote here anyway.
What does a railroad commissioner do? Like, what's the job description and what does it take to make a good railroad commissioner? And then how do we know if the people who are running for this office imbue those qualities?
Well, I would think that job one is making sure there are no pennies left on the tracks. I would also assume.
Is that a problem?
That's a problem. Did you ever do that? Did you grow up near train tracks?
I've done that because I didn't do it till I was in college. Because
I would imagine hobo maintenance is another big part of the railroad commissioner's job, making sure that the hobos are wearing their masks.
You're right.
I don't know. I don't know what else. I have no idea what the railroad commissioner
Doesn't
does.
this just seem like a shortcoming of the democratic process, or just the fact that railroad commissioner even exists? Like, none of us know who the damn railroad commissioner is. We don't even know what they do. We don't even know what it takes to run a railroad. Why are we in charge of choosing this
Right.
dude who's going to have any sort of say so over railroad people? I don't get that. Like, I have a hard enough time with like your county civil clerk, District 4 judge. I'm like, oh, is that Judge Sanders? Yeah, he's a good guy.
He's good.
Yeah, let me go ahead and put him back on the bench. I have no idea any of the rulings he
No
made.
idea.
No, he could have been saying tastes great, less filling. I don't know. I don't know.
As far as the slate of judges go, and whenever I vote in Illinois, there's just like all of these. I will admit that I look at two names and I vote for the name I like better. That's 100% how I elect judges. If it's like Bob Smith, you don't have a chance. But if your name is like Victor Sweat Stink, you're getting my vote. If it's a colorful name, if it's a name that makes me smile, if it's a name that I like. I used to, when I was younger and way more the Irish names. That's how I would do it. And that's something that Irish families have been doing for years in heavily political Irish places like Chicago. You would just vote for the person who had the Irish sounding name because you needed your people in charge. Because if they weren't in charge, then somebody else was. And them damn Italians, they don't like us. So yeah, I used to always, my mom does that still. My grandma and grandpa used to do that. If a judge if it's an O'Hare versus a Jackson, check that box for O'Hare because we can't be having no Jacksons judging us.
Oh, so there's no way you'd vote for a James Parker. You'd be like, that might be a black guy.
Well, no, it's just not. It's not an Irish sounding last name. You sound like an Englishman. I would never vote for an English last name. Hell no.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, never mind then. Never mind. I guess I'm not running. I just noticed half the things on that ballot. I have no clue who these people are or what they do. Like, what does a justice of the peace do? I've gone to a justice of the peace because I had a traffic ticket.
Yeah.
And I know that if you get in a car wreck and you die, he comes out and he pronounces you dead. He declares you dead on the scene.
Can he marry you too? I have
He
no idea.
He can marry you. Yes, he can marry you.
I have no idea what a justice of the peace is. I thought that was an old-timey Western thing. I didn't know that was like a thing that still existed.
I think you can still carry a revolver if you want to, but it's not part of, your daily activity.
No clue what a justice of the peace is.
No, and so just think all these important positions of power, these people that are holding the reins that guide society are just thrown in there by us, and we don't know. We don't know who these people are.
Do you have this? This is one that I laugh at whenever I see on the ballot for Cook County in Chicago. Water Reclamation Commissioner. I'm always like, what? Are we voting for the guy who decides who gets water? Is that what it is? Is this better be an Irishman? I'll vote for the Irish guy.
So my little libertarian fantasy would be you have the name of one guy, you have the name of another guy, and then you have as a third option just eliminate this whole damn office. And just throw it out there and see what the voters say, because we're not really getting a choice. If I'm going to put one stranger or another stranger into this office, that's not a choice.
It's a crapshoot. It is absolutely one. You're absolutely right. It is one, and there is absolutely no one among us who has that kind of time to research the positions of the hundreds of judges that we vote for, the silly offices that we didn't even know were elected. Here's what I would say. I would say that I would be fine with this. Okay, the guy at the top, I'm going to vote for him, and that means that I trust him to do all the heavy lifting. Let him appoint them all. Let him choose the guys.
Might as well, yeah.
What? Could it be worse? Could it be any worse?
Well, it could be worse. It definitely could be worse. It'd be the same result, because then the real power is held by the people who decide who's going to be on the ballot the day you walk in the booth. That's who basically decides who's going to be in all those seats.
Man, we had this in Chicago, the last election that I voted in. We had this, I believe it was whatever it was. Was it maybe it was, we have this woman. She is the Cook County State's attorney. Her name is Kim Fox. and she is the biggest train wreck of a state's attorney. You may know her from some of her fine works with Jussie Smollett. You might know her as
she's a known entity. Yes.
she is the worst. And I just thought there was no way in hell that this woman was going to get reelected. And she won in a landslide. She won in a. Politics are broken. Voting is broken. I have no idea how it was that she got. But yeah, that's. So I don't. I vote for. Here's who I vote for. I consider truly the senators, my congressman, the governor, the president. That's it. That's really all I got time for. I can't tell you what judge is a hanging judge and what judge does. I don't know. I don't know. I trust that one of these top guys that I'm electing knows. I'm going to let him choose them. I'm trusting this guy to do all the shit that I can't do.
Well, the truth is, nobody really knows who all these people are. Nobody is really qualified. There's probably a gaggle of like 40 people who actually know who all these candidates are, and these are the people who are all rolled up in the courtroom and city hall on a daily basis. The rest of us, we have no idea, none, and it's okay. I don't. You don't. Have you ever read like a whole court decision?
Hell no.
I've read like
actually,
excerpts of it.
Right. I don't think that I'm not a lawyer, so I've never done actual case study, but I'm on big court cases that I've covered and talked about. Yeah, I've read through them. By the way, just let me stop here for a second. Jeff says that's the best way to guarantee one party rule, Pugs. Yeah, the party I'm voting for. Because the only way to guarantee that anything's going to get done the way that I want it done is to let the party that I'm voting for have all the control. And then if they suck in 4 years, I vote them all out. What do we have now? We got nothing going on because everybody's at each other's throats. Nobody's working together.
Well, I think we have one party rule anyway because the party machines decide who's going to be on the ballot representing them. And so really who's deciding is going to be the Democrats or the Republicans, the party themselves anyway.
Leslie says something else. Shit Pugs, just vote for the incumbent. No, that's something I would never do. I would rather vote, just go straight down the ballot and only vote for the new people. Let the new people, because if you're dissatisfied with the way things are going, and most of us are dissatisfied, but then again, I would point out, I don't think there's ever been a time in American history where people walked into the ballot box and said, these are the best of times. There's never been a time when people have been satisfied. We've always been angry at whatever our government is. We've always said, vote them all out. It's that old, it's the good old days argument. When the fuck were the good old days? When exactly were the good old days? Because I'm telling you, in 1950, when you people talk about the good old days, there were people in 1950 going, the world's going to hell. You don't recognize the good old days when you get, you know what I mean?
When you had 3 channels, really? That was the good old days?
Those were the good old days. Yeah.
You didn't have a cell phone, no Uber. You didn't have air conditioning. Great days you had there.
We had. Yeah.
Hey, what's with the extra bathrooms? What is that the good old days? Is that what y'all are talking about, you weirdos?
Yes.
Freaks. No, we already had that discussion.
The good old days when a black man had his own water fountain all to himself. Is that what we're talking about? The good old days.
Weirdos.
There were no, and people always say, they want to go back to the days of Reagan, the 80s, the good old days. Reagan got elected because people were miserable. Those were not the good old days. The Grateful Dead put out their most successful album called Hell in a Bucket because everyone was like, the world is going to hell in a bucket.
I can't go back. I'm not going back before 2017. That's my cutoff.
Yeah, I think you're wrong on that. I think
even if they invent the time machine, I'm not going back before that's maybe 2018.
We've had this conversation.
I know.
Hold on. Let's revisit it. It for just a second. Can we go back in time? Do we have to live with the knowledge of that time, or can we bring any? Is it like we now knowing what we know, we go back?
No, you now knowing what you know have to go.
So
back.
We'll know what we're missing. So when we go back there,
and there's no air conditioning, you're like, oh damn it, this sucks.
That's okay. I'll trade it off. I'll be a millionaire instantly. I will be a millionaire instantly.
Where are you gonna go?
Well, first of all, I'll seek out Ray Kroc. And I'll say, hey, I'd like to come working with you. I think you got something with this McDonald's business. There are so many opportunities. If I know what I know now, absolutely send me back. Okay. But even if I didn't know what I know now, there are times that I'd like to have been a part of. Like I'll tell you.
You would like to be a part of them and then be able to come back and tell me about it. But you wouldn't like to be a part of them and then when you have your first heart attack, you just die. There's no such thing as a second heart attack.
That's true. That's true.
Right? The medicine sucked back then. If you got a cancerous anything, it was just a matter of time before it tumored you out.
I'd be dead because I'd be 400 pounds because there's no low calorie anything back then. Everything is 800 calories, right?
Yeah, but you're also like, it's kind of hard to eat when you have heat stroke because it's been 100 degrees every day for the last month and a half, and it's August.
And I chain smoke. I don't smoke now, but if I was like in the 1950s, I'd smoke like 3 packs a day because only pussies and cowards didn't smoke back then. So
right, and you kind of wanted to accelerate your death because the 80s were not one of the good options.
I'd go back to the 80s.
No. I mean, being 80 years old in 1926 would be awful.
Yeah, that would be bad. That'd be bad. Although I am anticipating that being 80 when the aliens are, chasing us down the street, that's coming. I believe that's in my future. I believe that there is some terrible thing that's going to happen. Whenever I see these things, like we're watching footage from the Ukraine, right? And you just see like some old broken down person and you're like, oh man, they can't even run if they hear gunshots. That's got to be awful, right? You feel for them. It's like, could you imagine being 80 and having a war break out? I fully expect that to happen. I fully expect me to be that person someday where I'm just like, all right, I'm going to sit on this park bench. And if I catch a stray, I catch a stray because I ain't running anywhere.
Well, yeah. And it's also like, hey, give me a noble death, not some 4-year battle with cancer where I'm all like bald and shrunken and there's my family around me as I'm in the hospital and they're all crying and my grandson's holding my hand and look like Skeletor. No, I'd rather go out in like a Russian invasion. I'm fighting them off like Red Dawn.
Yeah, I don't know. I have recently, I've been watching within the last month or so, I've been watching all of these documentaries about the what's that place called? No, I can't even think of what it's called.
Chernobyl?
No. The scene, the artistic and the music scene that was happening in the Hollywood Hills between like 1964 and 1974. And I'm captivated by it. I'm like, I couldn't put, how cool would that be to just, because first of all, it's the Hollywood Hills. And the reason all these young artists and all these rock stars and all of these people that weren't even rock stars yet, they all just lived there because the Hollywood Hills back then, you could rent a house for like $50 a month. And now it's all mansions. Now it's all like some of the most expensive real estate in the country. But back then, I don't know. I'm just what is that? What's that show called? Somebody help me out. You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that thing. It's
Badland, something land, Hollywood land.
No, it's we're just gonna sit here now and wait for somebody to tell me what it's not the hills. Valley, it's not the valley, it's canyon. That's it. Echo in the Canyon. That's what it is. Cool. The Mulholland Canyon or what son of a bitch.
You're not saying Mulholland Drive, are you?
Yeah, it's in there. It's like there. It's like that whole Echo. What is the name of that place? If I want to build a time machine and go back there and hang out there, what the hell? What is this? The Laurel Canyon. That's it, Jeff. The Laurel Canyon scene. I want to go back there. I want to live there. Here. Have you ever seen this documentary?
Nope.
Good. Make you watch it. And then we'll all just smoke cigarettes because that's what it seems like everybody did back then. They did drugs. All kinds of drugs, because everybody did drugs back then because drugs were fine. Hold on. This is where I'd like to go. Now, I want you to watch this, James. I want you to watch this because I know that you don't want. You tell me that you wouldn't want to live here, that you wouldn't want to be a part of this whole scene. Okay, here we go. Okay, yeah, that's not it. Never mind. All that build up.
All right, so let me just throw some things at you. Am I going to be able to have a cell phone?
What's that?
Do I have a cell phone?
Um,
Can I text people?
no.
Do I have an Xbox?
You can't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, that sucks. I won't get to see the Vikings Valhalla.
No, but you'll be but you'll be able to like hang out with. I don't know.
You think they'd let me hang out, or would I be the guy that works at the Baja Fresh drive-through handing them the fish tacos?
You would be a member of. It would be Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Parker. That's what it would be because you've actually got some musical talent.
Mm-hmm.
Does that sound terrible to you?
I think you're well overshooting it. My music career didn't exactly take off.
Anybody who could like play an instrument back then, they were just it was everybody who lived in this neighborhood just got swept up in this talent grab in Hollywood, and everybody became super famous. Here. All right, this is the one I wanted to show you. All right, are you seeing that?
I do.
All right, tell me this. Tell me you wouldn't do well here.
Laurel Canyon was a place people were attracted to, like a magnet.
It was a very small community of musicians and long-haired weirdos.
We were at the very center of this beautiful bubble of creativity and friendship.
The Byrds, Neil Young, the Monkees,
Crosby, Stills, and Nash.
The Doors,
Jackson Browne.
Linda Ronstadt,
The Eagles, and Mamas and Papas.
Cue the tape.
Joni Mitchell sat on the grass with her guitar.
David Crosby was sharp.
Eric Clapton sat there.
I heard Dylan showed up there.
There was a freedom that exploded.
The music can't help but reflecting things that are happening around it.
There are periods in history when there are peaks. Paris in the 30s, the Renaissance in Italy, Los Angeles around 65, 75. When a chemistry happens between people musically, it's magic.
Come on, man. You don't want to just be hanging out. I mean, there are people there who didn't have any musical talent who are like super famous, like this dude who was just there with a camera and he just took all kinds of pictures of these people before. This wasn't when they were all famous. This is when they were just kind of coming up and they all lived together like 10 to a house and they all lived next door to each other. Who was the guy that they kept talking to? He was just a dude with a camera who couldn't play anything. And he took pictures of all these people. And now he's like one of the most famous rock photographers of all time just because he was there getting high with these people taking pictures. I don't know. I just think if I could go back to any sort of simple time, I would like to go live there for like 6 months. I would like to just go hang. I want to live next door to, Davy Jones from the Monkees, across the street from Frank Zappa, and down the road from David Crosby. I think that would be fun. I think that would be cool. I would be dating Linda Ronstadt. That would be a good thing to be doing back then.
So can I connect my car and my phone together and share my playlist?
No, you can't.
It sucks.
You can't. And you've only got 3 channels. And you know what? A lot of the times it sucks because you have to go up on the roof and jimmy with the antenna just to get some good. But you know what? That's okay because you've got Crosby, Stills, and Nash playing guitars in your living room. Although, you know what? I'm so cynical. It's like I would have been the guy like, oh, I hate when these neighbor guys come over and play their lame music because they weren't famous yet. So you wouldn't have really appreciated it.
Right. Stop bogarting all the chicks.
Right. So I don't know. We've had this conversation a number of times. I would totally like to go back in time. I would really like to go back in time knowing what I know now. That's it.
So also back then, airplane travel was prohibitively expensive for all but the upper class.
Yeah, you drove.
And I like the fact that even my broke ass has been able to fly to another country before. In modern times, I wouldn't have done that in mid 60s. I would have been some guy just working some regular job, and
Byron has a great idea here. Wouldn't you like to go back to the Laurel Canyon in 1968 and just sit there with your guitar and play "Smells Like Teen Spirit" for David Crosby?
Now that I have thought that would be hilarious.
Think of this thing. It goes a little something like this.
Imagine all the people, right? Just right before he does it.
Yeah.
Right
But
before he
I'd
does
even go deeper. I'd do like, just like really bad.
You like Undone the Sweater song?
Yeah,
Weezer. Yeah.
lame train songs,
Oh, Marv. Yeah, that'd be great.
Guess who's back in the atmosphere? Drops of Jupiter. Yeah. Here's Crosby, Stills, and Nash with Drops of Jupiter, written by Pugs Moran. Something like that. Why not?
This is Linda Ronstadt with "Oops, I Did It Again."
Here's Linda Ronstadt.
Awful.
Ladies and gentlemen, singing her new hit song "Like a Virgin," it's Joni Collins. There you go.
I like that idea. That might be worth it. That might
on
be
an
worth
acoustic guitar.
And no one else would get the joke but you. No one on the planet would get the joke, but you're over just laughing. Like, it's crazy.
Who's Joni Collins? That's not even a person.
No.
I think I see the Judy Collins. Joni Mitchell. Yeah. That would be it. Joni Mitchell have got this song. It's called Holiday. It goes first verse Holiday, second verse Celebrate.
This one's called WAP. What does that stand for? Why don't you tell her, Pugs?
Right. Miss Linda Rossa, come on over here. Yeah, okay. So this one is called My Humps, My Lovely Lady Lumps. I think it goes a little something like this. Peter Tork of the Monkees, can you come over here with the bongos? We're going to need you on the bongos for this one. Yeah, there's fun to be had. There's fun to be had. You don't need cable. You don't need apps. You don't need a cell phone. Not when you have that kind of knowledge.
Air conditioning? Do we have air conditioning?
No, and everybody has BO. That is the one thing that I noticed about that documentary. It's that, it looks like fun, but they, the whole dirty hippie thing. Yeah, they really did look like dirty hippies. Right, they all looked like they stunk.
Not to be improper, but grooming issues in the region.
Yeah, but that's all right. I could be fine with that. I could be fine.
No, I can't.
Well,
I can't.
See, you bring.
That's one of the reasons I can't go back before 1990.
But you say, hey, you know what? This is a French thing. It's going to be all the rage in 50 years. But maybe you can start doing it now. Maybe you can start trimming. Maybe you can, you'd be. I think with the knowledge that you would bring, these people in particular, they would embrace you because you'd be freaky. You'd be freaky with your knowledge.
Do they have? They don't have Dr. Pepper Zero yet.
They don't. There's nothing zero. Tab hasn't even been invented yet. The worst soft drink of all time hasn't even been invented yet.
Did you ever? What's your thoughts on New Coke?
Remember New Coke? It's funny. I have takes on everything, and I even have a New Coke taste. New Coke was fine, and I'll tell you why. Because at the time, I was a Pepsi guy. I was a part of the Pepsi generation. There was the Coke people and the Pepsi people. And when New Coke came out, it tasted like Pepsi. It was, do you remember, are you old enough to remember the Pepsi challenge?
Yes.
So that's why New Coke became a thing, because the Pepsi challenge started popping up in shopping malls everywhere for like years. And they started recording all the results. And it wasn't a fake. Like 9 times out of 10, people would be like, this one tastes better. And it was Pepsi. So Coke, and Pepsi hammered that advertising. And so Coke went, oh, really? You want, fine, gloves are off. And they introduced New Coke, and it tasted exactly like Pepsi. And then, everybody, because people don't like change, it wasn't that it wasn't a good product. It was simply that people who liked Coke, and then suddenly everybody liked Coke. Suddenly it was, what did you do with New Coke? That was nonsense. But it was a pretty big marketing disaster. But whatever. Coke immediately went back to being the number one soft drink in the world. And I've
never protested anything in my life. I've never gone out in the streets with a picket sign and waved it around or chanted or screamed anything. I can't imagine someone would do that for Coke.
Oh, they were mad.
Oh, man, they had the picket signs, and it was a bunch of type 2 diabetics wheezing about their soft drink.
I had a friend.
What a low part of humanity protested that.
I had a friend who, his dad, and this was into the college ages. This was into the 90s. They had his dad in the 1980s when the New Coke thing was going on. He purchased a whole bunch of New Coke, and he had it in a cooler out in his garage, and no one was to ever touch it. he had this idea that this stuff was going to be worth something in 20 years because of the huge marketing failure that was New Coke. And then my friend had a party one year and everything spilled out into the ground and everybody drank his dad's New Coke. Oh, it was a huge thing. Dude, people drank my dad's New
Wow.
Coke. I'm going to get killed for this. Yeah, they drank it all. Like 10 years. It'd been in there for like 10 years and everybody just drank it. All right, James, you got to get out of here, right?
Yep, later.
All right, there he goes, ladies and gentlemen. It's James Parker. Give it up for him. He comes in Pugs and Parker every night at 9 o'clock. Pillow Talk edition. There he goes. All right. Okay. Let's do some massive Russian convoy nearing Kyiv as U.S. officials fear the worst is yet to come. All right, let's go back into a little bit. We've had a little bit of fun. We've just stepped away from some of the hard and heavy war coverage. So let's jump back in. Let's just get caught up and see where we are. Sun is coming up. 6 a.m. in the Ukraine. Let's pull up the old cams. Well, another quiet night. Looks like it's another quiet night. Like I said, there's been 2 nights in a row now where the 4 a.m. hour has passed without any sort of significant battles breaking out in the city of Kyiv. We've been threatened all day with this massive Russian convoy. Is this live? Hold on.
National at very different points, and others who we have been talking to have been saying, yes, they're being forced to do the wrong. Ukrainians are being thrust forward.
Okay, so all right. El Gamboa saying that Pat Robertson came out of retirement to claim that Putin is being compelled by God to invade Ukraine in preparation for a massive end times invasion of Israel. I don't even know what that means. Jeff, you're programmed to think that. Jeff Glenn says New Coke was awful. It was not. It was absolutely not awful. It was absolutely not. Unless you hate Pepsi. If you hate Pepsi, then yeah, you probably think Pepsi's awful. Then you would think New Coke was awful. It wasn't awful. You know what was a mind screw though? Crystal Pepsi. I don't know if you remember Crystal Pepsi. That came out, I want to say, the late 90s maybe. Crystal Pepsi was Pepsi that they had taken all of the caramel coloring out of it. So it was clear. It looked like a Sprite. It was in a bottle and it was clear and it looked like a Sprite. And you would take a drink of the Crystal Pepsi and your mind would say, oh, this is going to be like a 7-Up or a Sprite. And then it tasted like a Pepsi, and there was all kinds of misfiring going on. It was like, okay, I don't know, I'm having difficulty pressure. Is that a weird taste? Is it? And it was the exact same thing as Pepsi. It just didn't have the coloring. It tasted exactly the same as Pepsi. But for some reason, people would argue that it tasted funny. And it didn't. It was exactly like Pepsi. In blind taste tests, people couldn't tell the difference. The minute they saw that it was clear, their mind said, I'm preparing for something else. It tastes weird. Pepsi Light. Was Pepsi Light, was that what it was called? Pepsi Light. Wasn't Pepsi Light the one that had a little lemon in it? It was like an early Diet Pepsi. Before there was a Diet Pepsi, there was Pepsi Light. Now I got to see this. I know I got to look up Pepsi Light. I got to see what the bottles look like. Because I liked Pepsi Light. Let me see. Yeah, before there was like... Show me an image of Pepsi Light. Oh, no. Pepsi Light is something different. What's the Pepsi product? Wait a second. Is this Pepsi Light in new modern cans? Do they still make a version of Pepsi Light? Yeah, I'm looking at Pepsi Light Lemon. Yeah, there it is. Now I'm seeing the classic Pepsi Light cans. I liked Pepsi Light. I liked Pepsi Light. I did. That was like that was before when the only other choice, the choices for diet soda were Tab, which is just. I'm to a degree I'm trolling my friend Ed who runs Radio Misfits because he loves Tab, and it's like, oh my god, your taste buds suck because Tab is like the worst. It is the worst. It was the original diet soda and it just tasted like ass. It had that strong diet 1970s no sweetener aftertaste. Just terrible. So I remember the first one was Tab, and then there was Diet Right soda, and then Tab, and then Coke and Pepsi got into the game. I think Diet Coke came out first, and then Diet Pepsi. But before they went with Diet Pepsi, they had Pepsi Light. Which how many? You know what? How many calories was in Pepsi Light? That's an interesting question. How many calories did Pepsi Light have? Oh boy, I'll tell you the things we get into when we run out of war coverage. Pepsi Light. Look at the Wikipedia here. Find out how many calories. Because I don't think it wasn't like 0 calories or 1 or 2 calories or whatever. Pepsi was first introduced as Brad's Drink in New Bern, North Carolina in 1893 by Caleb Bradham, who made it at his drugstore where the drink was sold. It was renamed Pepsi in 1898. Pepsi because it was advertised to relieve dyspepsia, today more commonly known as indigestion. I can't believe that there isn't a page for Pepsi Light here on Wikipedia. How's that not a thing? Pepsi Light was probably around for like a year, but because it was around for a year when I had only had like 7 years to choose from in my life, that it seemed like it was around for a long time, but maybe it wasn't. Niche marketing. Okay, well, we're not going to get bogged down with my bizarre and sudden interest in Pepsi's various marketing offshoot brands. All right, let's see if there's anything new. Anything new. Let's see what the big guys are saying as far as the latest in the war coverage. Boy, CNN is really shoving this massive Russian invasion is coming. It's coming. It's coming. If it does, I'll jump right back on. And we'll do some coverage of that. But right now, I think we're almost at the end. Yeah, there is no real update. Byron says wild cherry Pepsi is better than cherry Coke. 100% agree, my friend. 100% agree. Diet wild cherry Pepsi is it the Diet Pepsi? Well, you know what? Can we just speak the truth? There ain't nobody killing it in the diet or low calorie soft drink game quite the way Dr. Pepper has of the last couple of years. I have this 0 calorie Dr. Pepper cream soda. It's Dr. Pepper and cream soda mixed. It is delicious. It tastes like a vanilla milkshake. It tastes like a carbonated vanilla milkshake. And I cannot believe that there are 0 calories. Sally says, Don Lemon is unbelievably stupid. He interviewed a couple that got married like 2 days ago. They are now holed up with a group of people that are armed and ready to fight. Don asked them where they are now. They hesitated and then told him where they are. Is it me or was that just stupid? It sure was. And yeah, you're right. Don Lemon, I do not like that Don Lemon is going to be the historical face of CNN primetime. covering this whole thing. I think that's a miscalculation. That is a big problem. Because Don Lemon is not a news guy. Don Lemon is a news personality. He is no different than news personalities like Tucker Carlson or Sean Hannity or Bill O'Reilly. Those people are news personalities. Piers Morgan before him on CNN, news personality. Chris Cuomo, to a degree, was a news personality, although he actually did have a resume that would suggest that he was more of a news guy, but he became a news personality. This is not good. You know, give me Anderson Cooper. That's great. Anderson Cooper, he's got the news credibility. You give me a John Berman. You can even give me a Jake Tapper, and I get very upset with Jake Tapper because all he is he's just a divisive political guy at this point. Give me the Wolf. Give me Wolf Blitzer. I don't love Wolf Blitzer, but if 50 years from now I'm going to be in a museum and I'm going to watch CNN's coverage of the Ukrainian war, yeah, let me see Wolf Blitzer. Don Lemon, he's just everything is so. My problem with Don Lemon are his New Year's Eve antics. I just don't. He's always drunk and he's I don't need to know the personal life and the peccadillos of the people who are giving me the news that the world is ending. I don't need it. Top of the hour chimes? It's not top of the hour. It's 10:17. Okay, those are not chimes. Jeff says, is it me or does Don Lemon look like he's aged 10 years in the last 18 months? You want to know something crazy about Don Lemon? Don Lemon's like almost 60 years old and he looks like he's almost 40. Don Lemon is very young looking for how old he actually is. Yeah, Al, Dr. Pepper Zero Cream Soda, man. That stuff is banging. That stuff is great. All right, guys, we're going to jump off the stream. It is only 10 o'clock. If something happens here in the next couple hours or something like that, I'm going to be up watching Vikings, but I'm going to be monitoring. So we'll jump back on. Once again, help support the show with a tip if you can. Appreciate it. We do this for tips. Buy me a beer. Buy me a beer. If everybody bought me a $5 beer, we'd be great. Whatever. Appreciate you. Thank you for hanging out with us. We'll, like I said, if something else comes up, I'll be back on because I'm trying to cover this from top to bottom. Hold on, I'm looking to see. Yeah, and look. I feel like maybe sometimes I'm too mean to Don Lemon, but it's just he bothers me. He doesn't have any news credibility to me. He seems he's very theatrical. I don't like that. I like Aaron Burnett. I like Aaron Burnett a lot. If we're talking about the CNN people that I like Aaron Burnett. She's legit. I like Anderson Cooper. He's legit. I like John Berman. He's smart. He seems like he's good. Breonna Keeler is like my all-time favorite. Oh, and I also like this new girl in the mornings with John Berman. Or is she with Jim Sciutto? Her Biana Goladraga. Have you guys seen Biana Goladraga lately? Have you seen her? Do you know who she is? She's from Houston. She's like some Russian. She was born in Russia, raised in Houston. She's pretty awesome. She's the new morning co-host. I don't know if she's doing morning. She's on like at 9 o'clock. That's morning to me. She comes on at like 9 o'clock with Jim Sciutto. She's good. She's really good. I like her. I like her on this coverage, this Ukraine coverage, because she really knows her stuff. Like her family, she's born in that part of the world. Her family, she has relatives there. She's like really up on everything. She's good. She's smart. She's cool. Who's the other one that I like? I like that Kate girl, Kate Baldwin. I like her. She's good too. But you know what? Honestly, I would let's keep this with Wolf Blitzer, Anderson Cooper, and Aaron Burnett. Those are the ones that I want to see doing this stuff. Everybody else just seems to be a theatrical political hack. All right. Hey, Pugs, when does the second half of Ozark drop? Dude, not until like September. I know, right? We whip through these 6. They make us wait like 2 years for 6 episodes. And then we whip through them in a weekend, and now we got to wait what feels like another 2 years. But it's actually September. I need to know about Peaky Blinders. I need to know when the new season of Peaky Blinders hits, because that's what I'm waiting on. I am running through these Vikings Valhalla season 1 way too quickly. I've already got like 4 episodes down. I got 4 left. When does Peaky Blinders come back? When does Peaky Blinders resume? Let's see what it says. Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait. 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 That can't be right. It says that Peaky Blinders came back on February 27th, 2022. No way. Google isn't wrong about this stuff. Oh my God. I'm staying up all night if it's not back. There is no Peaky Blinders. There's no Peaky Blinders back. That's a lie. That's a lie. It's a lie, Google. Google, you're lying. Hold on. Let me click on new and most popular. Let's see. Vikings Valhalla is new. Peaky Blinders is not new. Peaky Blinders is not new. There is no new Peaky Blinders. What the heck? Last Kingdom, the new season of Last Kingdom comes next week. Worth the wait. When does... Have they not given us a... You know what? You people don't need to see me go through this. You don't need to see me go through this. All right. We're going to end it. Byron says, I heard it drops in April. Is it April? I thought it was like September. I hope you're right. I hope it is April, because then it's just like a month. I can do a month. I can fill a month. When does Ozark season... Is it 6? Season 6. Resume. Or is it season 5? I think it's season 5. Or is it season 4? It's season 4! Okay. All right, it's season 4. What the F is Peaky Blinders? Dude. Well, Peaky Blinders is a show about British gangsters in the just after World War I. It's about a bunch of hardened World War I veterans who come back to their Manchester ironworks town, and they resume their life as criminals. It's like a mob show. It's like they're mobsters, but it's set in. Oh, it's so good. It is so good. So good. So I'm gonna tell you. I'm not gonna go. So that's the baseline. Ozark season 2 will not be here before May 31st, but we've also heard that it will be arriving before the end. I don't know. Whatever. I don't have time to look for this. Kenny, Peaky Blinders comes with my highest recommendation. Hi. Don't be fooled by the name. I know the name sounds stupid, right? The name is like that. I took me 2 years to finally watch. Some of the people that I respect most when it comes to television choices, they were like, dude, you got to watch Peaky Blinders. I'm like, that seems so stupid. What is it, Peaky? What is it, little kids? Was it little shows like Teletubby? That's what I was thinking. And then I watched it. I was like, oh, damn. The Peaky Blinders is the hats that they wore. They wore hats called Peaky Blinders, and they were like these little peaky hats, like the old-timey 1920s hats, and they kept razor blades in the brim right here. They would hide a razor blade in the brim, and they would come up to you on the street, and they would take their hat off, and they would slash your eyes out with the razor blades. Thus, blinders. Peaky's the hat, and they would blind you. You owed them money or you didn't pay or whatever. Peaky Blinders Season 6 in the UK on February 27th at 9 p.m. As for American debut, there's still no word, but the show typically premieres new episodes within a month or two of the end of the season in the UK, which could mean we'll be getting the 6th season in late spring or summer. Oh, man. I gotta come back. I miss old Tommy Shelby and the Shelby crime family. Okay, I'm out of here. thank you, folks. Again, if you can tip to support the show, that would be great. I appreciate it. End of the month, your tips mean the most. All of the ways that you can do that are right down there at the bottom. Stay near the channel, because should something happen here in the next hour or two, I will jump back on. You know what? I'll tell you what. Before 1 o'clock, even after, if it's 1 o'clock, 1:30, I'll jump back on. I'll give myself like a 1:30 cutoff before I just gotta go to bed. All right. Thank you, folks. Appreciate you being with us. We'll see you tomorrow at high noon. That's noon Central Standard Time. We do it every day. You know that. You guys are always here. I appreciate you. I love you. Tip the show if you can. And we'll